Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I want to presentation about syntax project 2. Before we start, I want to introduce myself as Miftah Jana with number ID 332202204. And now let's we start the presentation. Part 1 topic is for the grammatical relation. Definition: grammatical relation refer to the relationship between words in a sentence that determine how they function and interact with each other. This relation helps to confine meaning and structure within a sentence. Understanding grammatical relations is essential for analyzing sentence structure and for effective communication in any language. For the brief, there are 4 subject. Subject is the main in the sentence who came out the action. Direct object, an object that directly receive action from the subject. Indirect object, object that receive benefits from the subject action, usually a person or entity. Oblique, additional elements in a sentence that provide further information such as place, time, and manner. Possessor, a sentence where the subject receives the action rather than the doer of the action. As for the passive sentence, is kalimat pasif and structure dependence. Subject. Subject refers to the term that states the main sentence. The actor, person, place, object, observes in the context of failing a target in addiction. The subject is interpreted as the main topic of discussion, the subject of this, or the part, the clause that makes the speaker says. For the example, they will attend the party. The teacher give the test. Jennifer walked to the store. So the subject is the they, teacher, and the Jennifer. Direct object. A direct object is a noun or a pronoun that receives the action of a verb in a sentence. In other words, a direct object is the direct receipt of the action performed by the subject through the verb. Example, in sentence, she reads a book. The direct object is the book because it answers the question, what does she read? Another example as, he kicked the ball. Here the ball. And is the direct object answering the question, what did he kick? Oblique, in syntax, refers to an argument that is not included in the main arguments, subject, or a direct object of a relation or clause. Oblique arguments are often marked with preposition or postposition and do not play a major role in the basic syntax structure. There are 2 types, direct object arguments and oblique object argument. Argument with direct and that directly receive the action of the verb. For example, in the sentence, the book was read by him. The book is the direct object, right? And for the oblique object arguments, arguments do not directly receive the action of the verb, but are still important in the structure of the sentence. These arguments are usually marked with preposition or postposition. For example, he reads books in the library. In the library is an oblique argument. Possessor. Possessor is a term in linguistics that refers to an individual or entity that owns or controls something. In context of grammar, possessor is often associated with ownership structures where an object or concept is owned by someone or something. In many languages, including Indonesian, ownership can be expressed using possessive pronouns, preposition, or other forms that indicate the relationship between the owner and the object owner. Example, in the sentence, the book is mine. The word me is the possessor indicating that the book is owned by the speaker. In the sentence, his car is very fast, the word him in the possessor indicating that the car is owned by the person being referred to. Possessor structure can vary depending on the language. In English, for example, we often use the possessive form, the adding an apostrophe as example. John's books means John's book, his book. In Indonesia, we can use a word milik or possessive pronouns such as saya, kamu, dia, and so on. Passive sentence. Passive sentence in a grammar in a sentence where the subject to a verb or action. In passive sentence, the focus of the sentence lies in the action imposed to the subject or object. Example, the book is read by the students is passive, and the students read the book is for active. For we can make it dibalik lagi. John reads the book active. Fish, the book is read by John. So the book is read by passive, right? So you can choose by dibolak-balik saja. Structure dependence. Structure depends in a concept in linguistics that describe the relationship between words in a sentence. In a dependency structure, words in a sentence are related to each other based on their syntax function, where one word, usually a verb, is a central and other words dependent on it. As for the example, in the sentence, child reads a book, we can identify the defensive structure as follows: heads reads, verb, dependent as for the child is a subject, and the book is for the direct object. Now let's get into the relative clause. The definition of a relative clause is a clause that functions to provide additional information about a noun or a pronoun in a sentence. In other words, a relative clause acts an explanation that clarifies the meaning of the entity in a sentence. In addition to providing an explanation, a relative clause also can provide variation to a sentence, thus presenting information in more detail and interestedly. So a relative clause is a type of independent clause that provides additional information about a noun or a pronoun in a sentence. It typically begins with relative pronouns such as who, whom, whose, and which, or that. Relative clause help to specify or clarify the noun, the modify, making sentence more informative and complex. Type of relative clause. There are two: defining relative clause and non-defining relative clause. Defining relative clause provide important and essential information to understand the subject being discussed. Without this clause, the meaning of the sentence will change or become less clear. This type of clause is not surrounded by commas. By example, the book that borrowed from the library is fascinating. In the sentence, that I borrowed from the library is a defining relative clause that specific book is being referred to. And for the non-defining relative clause, unlike defining relative clause, non-defining relative clause provide additional information that is not an essential part of the sentence. This information can be removed without changing the basic meaning of the sentence. This type of clause is usually surrounded by commas. As for example, Mr. Budi, who is director of the company, will retire next year. That canvas which I bought on vacation is very sturdy. As for the additional, a relative pronoun begin with who, whom for a person, which, animal or a thing, that for a people, animal or a things, typically used in defining clause, whose indicated possession, and for the relative adverb, where for a place, when For a time or a date. For a date. Why? For a reason. Now part 2. Syntax T diagram. The sentence, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. For the structure explanation or the deep structure, as for the sentence, this sentence is a declarative sentence that consists of two main parts, noun pronoun and verb phrase. For the noun phrase and determiner, the is the determiner that shows that we are talking about something specific. For the adjective quick and a brown are adjectives that describe a noun. For a noun, fox is a noun that is the subject of the sentence. For the verb pairs and the verb, jumps is a verb that shows the action done by subject fox. Prepositional pairs. Over the lazy dog is a prepositional phrase that provides additional information about the place where the action takes the place. For the preposition over is a preposition that shows a relationship between the subject and the object. For the noun phrase into determiner, the shows the we are talking about something specific. And for the adjective lazy is an adjective that describes a noun for a dog. Noun. Dog is a noun that is an object of the preposition. And for the sentence 2, the girl who is wearing a red dress is a dancing. For the deep sentence, for the deep structure, as for sentence, the complete declarative sentence containing a relative clause. Noun pairs into a determiner, noun, and complementizer pairs. The relative clause who is wearing the red dress is modifying girl. For the complementizer is for who, as for the as sentence is the wearing a red dress. Into a noun pronouns into girl gap cover with initial verb pronoun. Into verb is for auxiliary is. For the man is wearing, and for the pronoun is the red dress. Number 3. Stefano saw the Hezekiah with the telescope. For the main sentence is for the Stefano, and verb pronoun is for the saw. And for the Hezekiah is for the noun pronoun, and preposition is with. Determiner is for the the, and the noun is for the telescope. She believed that the earth is around. The main sentence consists of the two parts, subject, noun pronoun, and predicate, verb pronoun. And for the noun phrase determiner, she functions as the subject of the sentence. This is a simple noun pairs or a verb pairs. Verb believes in a verb that shows the action text of the subject, subordinate or clause. After the verb is subordinate clause of the explain with the subject belief. Subordinate clause into noun pairs, the earth is a noun pairs that function as the subject of the subordinate clause. For the determiner is for the is a determiner that defines of a noun earth. Earth is a noun. Noun is the focus of this clause. Verb pairs into verb is in linking verb that connect with object of to the predicate. For the adjective brown is an adjective that describes the subject to the earth. And for the sentence, last sentence, the house where I grew up has been demolished. The main sentence consists of two parts, subject, noun phrase, and predicate verb. As for the noun phrase determinant into the, function as a determinant that defines a noun house. For a noun into house is a noun that is subject of the main sentence. Relative clause is for the where I grew up. Is a relative clause that provides additional information the house. For the verb phrase into verb and has is a verb that shows that action taken by the subject. Into passive construction into verb and been is a part of the passive construction, and the verb demolished in the main verb that shows the action received by the subject. For the subordinate clause into noun pronouns is is a pronoun that functions as a subject of a relative clause. Verb pairs into verb grew is a verb that shows the action done by subject I. And for prepositional phrase, up is a prepositional that completes the meaning of the verb into grew. Just that presentation about me, about syntax, about grammatical relationship, relative clause, and the tree diagram. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.